Hi.
Recording. Okay, so welcome everybody, and welcome Kim Russo. Hi, honey.
Hi. Thank you for having me, Wendy. So excited.
I am so excited to have you on, and we've got so much to get to. But before we do, for the few people that don't know who you are, I want to just tell them a little bit about you. So, Kim Russo is an internationally renowned psychic medium. She's an intuitive counselor. She's a spiritual teacher. She's been on many TV shows like Dr. Oz, Maury, Povich, and so many more. You've also hosted your own show called The Haunting of, and another one called Psychic Intervention, if I got that right.
Yeah.
And the one that I'm most excited about right now is your newest show called Celebrity Ghost Stories. And it's on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. on A&E. And I know because I wait for it. And then I watch it like this. I'm like, oh. So can you tell us about your Celebrity Ghost Stories, please, love?
Yeah. Well, I can understand that. I can, but once you get to the heart of what's happening in the show, you can watch it any time of the day without covering your face. Basically, it is a television program with celebrities, and I have found in doing this work for so many years with the celebrities that they're no different than any other person. That's just their title, no different from a doctor, a lawyer. That's their occupational title, but they're just as human as all of us, if not more. And they take me back to a time in their life where they have a supernatural experience at a certain location that they have never forgotten, and it actually has stayed with them, so much so where they are still curious, or the event is actually still ongoing, and they want to bring me in as the psychic medium who is very sensitive to energy, and they want me to shed some light on why am I experiencing this, or why did I experience this. And I take them on a whole journey, because it's never cut and dry. Energy speaks a whole language that sometimes has some peaks, some valleys, and we have to go. It's an investigation. It's a paranormal investigation or a supernatural investigation, and I think it's like when a therapist meets with a client, and in the beginning they say, okay, tell me why you're here, but then it takes them about 30 years to fix the problem, right?
Yeah.
With the ongoing each week. This is a crash therapeutic supernatural investigation where I tie everything up connected to whatever they experienced, and it usually does connect to them personally as well. So I do get personal with the celebrity, and things are uncovered most of the times that the world does not know about the celebrity.
And that's true because I've seen your last two shows. The first one was with Ice-T and Coco. And then this last one, this past Wednesday, was with Terry Bradshaw. And I, it was incredible. And you do share personal information. And it's amazing to watch the whole transformation of it. But
Yeah.
I want to ask you, like, do you ever get scared though when you're doing this?
Well, yes, I'll be quite honest. I don't go in with fear, because then I'll be dead in the water from the get-go. I don't ever go in with fear. It's now you actually saw Wednesday night's program, and I don't want to give it away for those people who have not seen this episode with Terry Bradshaw. But if you remember, I was put in a very compromising position where I had no control. And in the moment, those are moments that I do get frightened, because I don't know how far it will go.
Yeah.
And I guess it is a risky job, no doubt about it,
Mhm.
especially when you're working with the unknown forces. But it's definitely something I signed up for. For the most part, I have to say I'm pretty safe and my spirit guides protect me. But I do feel that there's always a chance that something can either attach, I can take it home with me, or the spirits themselves can really create a lot of havoc, as you saw Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I love about what you do is you kind of like this translator between the spiritual world and our world. And was amazing to me, and it's been kind of a theme in the last two shows that I've seen, is that it starts off and it seems scary and you don't really understand, like you said, that you go through this investigation and then there's a beautiful message in the end, or something incredible happens, and you understand that a lot of this is the spirit world trying to help us, but they need you to uncover that.
That's true. We always assume that a shadow that goes in front of our face is evil, but that's how we were programmed. That's what we were taught growing up. We were taught not to believe in unseen energy. And my message is to have you unlearn what you actually learned and reteach your birthright. Everyone has this within them, and it's some people call it intuition, some people call it gut instinct, some people even sometimes want to call it deja vu. Whatever you want to call it, we all have it. So I am really just reintroducing this to the human spirit and teaching you it's like you've been carrying around a sack of jewels your whole life and you didn't know you had them. So I am helping you unwrap the jewels that you were born with.
I love that analogy, and I recommend that show. I love it. It's amazing, and it really does show what you do in a very comforting way. So everybody should go watch that show on Wednesday night at 10 p.m.
Yes, thank you. We have a great lineup this season. We have we have Paula Abdul this coming Wednesday evening. Again, like you've never seen her before. It's quite an emotional episode. And we have Kelly Osborne from the Osborne family. She was so much fun to work with. And I think the public will really be surprised about her honesty. She's very candid in the episode. Actually, working with me, I don't really sugarcoat things, but I present them in a down-to-earth manner where people can relate, where things resonate with people.
Yeah.
So her and I, Kelly was not really sure of me at first because she's been taught to be on guard with people. And so as she put it, everyone in Hollywood wants something.
Yeah.
And so it's sad that she has to view people that way, but I think it worked out very well because she very quickly started to trust me and we had an amazing day. So yes, thank you for telling everyone about the show because I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, and you should be. So now I want to get into, also you have authored 2 books. The first one is called The Happy Medium, and the second one is called Your Soul Purpose, which is about harnessing your energy and discovering your soul purpose, which couldn't be more prevalent for this time. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, like, how did you come to write this book?
Which one? The second one?
The second one, Your Soul Purpose. Yeah.
So this is an interesting turn of events. My publisher came to me and they called me and they said, "We're ready for your second book." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Do you have any ideas of what you would like to write about?" So back up just a little bit. If everybody read The Happy Medium, I write all about this in The Happy Medium. I never planned on being a medium. What I wanted to really do was dive into the soul via hypnosis. My original plan, this is what Kim Russo, very curious scientific mind, likes to do, is I believe in past lives. I believe in quantum physics. I always was a science-based type of a person. So I wanted to be a hypnotist and go and try to help people get to the core, under hypnosis, to their subconscious mind. And I was fascinated by that. I read books on it, but I didn't take any special training. So just to backtrack a little bit, back in the day, I took a book at the library and I said, "Well, how hard could this be? I want to read more about how to do this." And I used my husband as a guinea pig, as a subject to put onto hypnosis. And I read this book and I followed the instructions to a T. And to my surprise and shock, My husband went under hypnosis so quickly, so deep, that I quickly realized there was a name for someone who could be easily hypnotized like that, and it's called a somnambulist or
Wow.
somnambulist, depending on how you say it. Somnambulist. So I started getting these incredible revelations while Anthony was under hypnosis, my husband, and he started telling me about different lives he led and with great detail. He even told me about lives he and I led together and our names and the dynamics of our lives. So as this started to evolve and I couldn't get enough, I was like a child at Christmas with a new toy or a new, those new magic 8 balls.
Yes.
um, the journey of discovery with Anthony was soon he was not discussing past lives. Soon he started channeling these beings that had names, and I didn't know if they were coming from evil or not, but they had quite a bit of information that obviously Anthony had no knowledge of. And they started dialogue with me, and they claimed to be one of my high spirit guides, and the other entity was one of his highest spirit guide or main spirit guide. And they gave me names, and so I developed a relationship with these spirit guides, and I questioned them, and I just always wanted to make sure they were coming from a good place. They would tell me some futuristic events that actually happened. They told me that Obama would be the president when that election was happening. And
Wow.
when I had this Anthony's guide speaking through him, I was testing and I said, well, do you know who will be the next president? And the answer was exactly the man of color.
Whoa.
That's what they said to me. The man of color will
Wow.
be the next president. And he was. And so there were other things that came through and a lot of nuggets of what I felt to be highly spiritual wisdom. I've translated it into the happy medium. But fast forward to your question, the second book, there was a new guide that showed up on the scene one night. And I don't do this very regularly anymore, hardly ever. But Anthony started talking in his sleep one night, and I just started answering him. And then all of a sudden, this guide came through and told me his name. And I said, "Who are you?" And he continued to say who he was, and he was a watcher. He told me he was a watcher. Anyway, he told me the whole story of there's a ranking system with the guides. His name was Tuzu. Tuzu. So I thought that was a very unusual name. But anyway, not to get off the subject, they told me when I asked names, whenever I ask a guide their name, they said, well, which lifetime would you like?
Wow.
And I went, whoa, that's deep. That's true. Which name of which lifetime? So he said to me that the people need to hear my message. And I said, well, what message? And he said, book. And he started talking about the Ascension and that I must get a book out immediately about the Ascension. And he started telling me about what Ascension was. And mind you, my husband doesn't know any of this. I'm the one that reads all the books and, studies all of this stuff. Not him. So I taped the session. I have it on tape. And he kept telling me you have to teach people about the body, mind, and spirit. And the heart is the gateway. He kept saying that. So this was about a month prior to my publicist approaching me. And she said, do you have any ideas what you'd like to write about? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do, but it wasn't my idea. And I told her the idea. And she said, done. I love it. I love it. Quickly, I was put together with a writer to help me put the guides the guidelines together in the chapters. And I channeled each chapter. Now, the interesting thing about this book was, and I'm being very honest, I was not in agreement with putting this type of book out as my second book. The reason I say that is because as a psychic medium, I know what my readers want.
Yeah.
I know they want me to teach them how to do this work, how to be. There's so many mediums coming up, and they want to know from Kim Russo how to do this, how to teach them this. I didn't feel they wanted a book on ascension or how to live in the heart. Fast forward now to today in 2020, when we're all in quarantine sitting in our house, and our world, the rug has been pulled right from under our feet.
Yeah.
Our world will no longer be as we know it, nor should it be. I now understand that this is a guidebook that they had released. When I say they, I mean my guides, was released 1 year till now prior. They gave it 1 year to circulate, and obviously it's still circulating, and they knew this book was a handbook for to get everybody through what's happening now. I didn't know the timing of it. I pay attention, and I pay attention to what spirit tells me to do. And
That's it's
they told me to get
incredible.
this book. Yeah, so they told me to get the book out, but at the same time, within a week, I had the book offer without even trying.
Wow.
So that's how I really knew they were on board with this book and this
Yeah.
project.
When
My,
something's so smooth and easy, it's meant to be, and they're in control anyway. So I just want to say to, first of all, you picked the right husband, clearly. That's a great story.
my experiment.
I need to learn that technique.
Yes, he's the best on
Amazing.
every level. Well, he was the person that was the sleepy one next to me. I'm like, oh well, he would be a good subject. And I've actually hypnotized people since then, but just people close to me, because I believe that hypnosis is all about trust. You
Yeah.
have to trust the person putting you under hypnosis, and to this day, it still fascinates me the most. Hypnosis.
Absolutely. I'm completely fascinated by it and a little nervous. Like you said, I have to really trust the person. I've had it done a few times, but it it's not scary when you realize what it is, but it sounds scary. I'm like, are you going to make me quack like a duck? Am I going to,
Well, that's what people think,
Yeah.
and the truth of the matter is, hypnosis is really accessing the true person you are, not the one with the masks or the persona that you want people to believe about you or your life. It's the real person with the real feelings, that sometimes those feelings are too painful for us to feel and deal with, so we bury them. And
Yeah.
then we distract ourselves in our jobs and in our lives and with social media and television and everything that's so easily can distract us these days. And that's what I find fascinating with this quarantine is, everywhere you go, there you are,
Yeah.
and
Well,
we can't go too far these
no,
days.
it is. I mean, and I want you to talk about that. But so what's interesting about the timing of that book and the message of your book and the fact that we've been forced to stay home, and it's kind of a metaphor for like home is like our bodies, our souls are going inwards, right? And your book is about, finding your soul's purpose. And so it couldn't be more prevalent. And I've read it. It's the most incredible book. It is like it's like a kind of a map to this time, and it's a blueprint. And that's why I believe so much in what you're talking about, because that was given to you way before you even knew what it was, and it's a tool that people could use right now.
And in my mind, I did argue with the this. I may get some backlash from this book, and I kept just hearing, well, only because it's not what my readers would expect from a medium, and
Yeah.
I kept hearing, you need to trust us, and I do trust them. And I just felt that it was given to me on a silver platter for me to give to the world. And I think I actually wrote that in a book about it being a blueprint. But as I was writing it, I didn't know what was to be in this book. So that's the beauty part. At least The Happy Medium was an autobiography mixed with a lot of my teachings and how I teach my own students. So that all that had to come from me. That's my story, my teachings. This, I was going in blindly. I didn't know a lot of what I was supposed to put in it, but I meditated, and in the most unusual hours of the day, they would actually tell me what the next chapter should be.
Oh my God, I love it.
So, no pun intended, but they were the real ghost writers of the book. My God. Yeah, isn't that something?
It's brilliant. I love it. So this is a good, like, this book and the tool you've given us is something that we need for this time. And I really, I know you've spoken a lot about coronavirus and what's going on. Can you shed some light for us about this time of coronavirus and
So I never really look at something literal,
Mhm.
no matter what it is. I always go to the higher octave of the lesson or the event. Okay. Whatever that might be, whether it be someone saying something to me that may hurt my feelings, I will go to the higher octave of, okay, um, well, they only said that because they're hurting, or this is whatever. It's like I don't take it personal, right?
Yeah.
What someone else does, I cannot take it personal unless it's something I actually did to hurt them. That's a whole different story. So with this virus, I am not looking at um, the technicalities of where it came from, how did it get here, and will I contract the virus. This is not to diminish anyone's demise from this virus. I do believe that whoever is ushering out of this three-dimensional plane right now has already agreed to do that during this time where we'll have an easier opportunity to leave.
Yeah.
I hate to say easier, but it's more like a soul group agreement. Like like they'll decide whether they're going to stay and face what's coming of this new shift, or they're actually going to help us from the other side. No matter which side they want to play on, they're still going to help.
Yeah.
We've all agreed to do that. That's why we were born. Now, um, although I don't want to say forget about your life up until this point, I did bring that up in my book, The Soul Purpose, which was pretty much everything we've learned to this point was living in a matrix programmed type of a reality. We were taught what to believe, what not to believe, right? We were taught the good guys over the bad guys. We were taught the boogeyman is not real and don't believe energy. We were kind of almost put in a spiritual coma, if you will. Now, I do line out in the book, outline to disconnecting from that matrix is now. Because what I feel this virus will bring up is not just a quarantine um, where we'll sit in our houses and meditate and figure out who we are as people. That's one part of it. And I think that's a big part of it. But I think that there'll be more revelations and awakenings. People will be waking up in droves. What does that mean? That's what, again, the book is about. It means I never knew that to be true. Like there's all these illusions that have been going on our whole lives. There have been events in history that are actually happened. They didn't happen the way we were taught. And we're going to find out. And this is not a conspiracy thing. This is more about, and I don't want to get into astrology because I'm not an astrologer, but I know the way the planetary alignments are now. It's all geared to Pluto. The planet Pluto has a big role in digging up stuff from the underground and bringing it to the surface and constructing new structures. That's Capricorn. So all these planets are now in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn, Pluto takes down what's not working, and I don't think it's a secret. Um, our lives were not working. It wasn't working. Nobody in the last, I don't know how many years, but my children included, thought that it was a good idea to wake up every day, go to work from 9 to 5, and not have a fulfilling type of a job, but have a job that puts money in the corporation's pockets, and then to some level, the individual doesn't feel fulfilled on a soul level.
Yeah.
So what's happening now is all of these paradigms are coming down. They're crumbling because they're not working anymore. They probably never did work. I don't believe this is how society was meant to be. Society was meant to help each other in unity. My gifts, I share with you. You share your gifts with me. This is how we all get along. So I don't want to sound like Pollyanna, but this is where we're headed. We're headed to the age of Aquarius and the days of unity and enlightenment. And again, if you want to go science, Wendy, I can scientifically prove that we are ascending, as so is the earth, because scientists can measure the electromagnetic vibrations and frequencies of the earth, and they're rising. They've never been this high before. So as the electromagnetic and the Schumann resonance, they call it,
Yeah.
as that rises, all of the inhabitants on the earth have to rise with it. So that would be us.
Yeah.
We have to rise up, and we're rising into the heart area. So we're going from the caveman primitive part of our bodies, which are the lower end of the chakra system, the energy centers, right?
Yeah.
Survival, everything from the lower is about survival, power, and greed. When you move up from the solar plexus into the heart, this is where we're coming up. We're rising up. We're going into the heart, where unity, love, and there's no separation once we live from the heart chakra. And that's what's coming. And when I say people are waking up, they're learning to find their compassion. They're learning the truth about who they are, like why they really were born. We weren't born to be slaves. We were born to be happy, to help each other, to live on a planet with free energy, with free resources that the Creator provided for us. And then all of a sudden we have to slave to be a part, and we have to buy everything. It was never intended, and that only separates humanity. So we're coming together now. No more separation. The religions are falling away. People are finding their own spiritual path, because organized religions are meant to segregate, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense. And I completely agree with you. I think it's been divinely orchestrated. And I mean, it doesn't make it easy, but it's the truth. You know, you're right. The systems are not working. The medical system is a disaster. The political system, the systems aren't working for us and for anybody. So I 100% agree with you. But this time is really hard. You know, there's some days I wake up and I'm like, I feel like grateful, and I feel like, you know, I'd say like moments of it's sort of like a roller coaster ride the whole day. There's other moments where I feel a little bit anxious, or I'm like, what should I be doing in this time? So what advice can you give us? What should we be doing to get through this time?
Well, I always say, if you can't go out, go in. Go out, go in. I do feel this is a time of discovery for yourself, about yourself. I believe the people you're quarantined with, your spouses, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your children, I believe that we're operating from one fear or another, and I feel like even the ones that are operating from love and fear, like you said, it's a roller coaster. So some days we can operate from fear as humans, because we're in the human body, and other days we'll go from love and we'll go to fear. But we're learning a lot about people that we're living with and quarantined with. We're learning about, like I always say, this is not affecting me too much because I am already my own best friend. That's just me, though. I enjoy spending time with myself, learning, growing, gaining wisdom, sharing wisdom. But I feel as if we cannot look at what's right in front of us. That's not what this is about. We we are moving towards a bigger picture, okay? Um, the people that are saying to me, Kim, will this ever go back? Will our lives ever go back to normal? I say to them, define normal. That was not normal. And I always knew that that wasn't normal. For people that have been awake or have already grown into their soul, they already knew that that system could never sustain itself much longer. It was a matter of time where it would be crumbling because it wasn't based with a solid foundation of love. It was built on a foundation of greed, which to my interpretation is like building a castle, a structure on sand. It will crumble. It's nothing. Truth is the only solid foundation, right?
Yeah.
So when we start to see, wow, and I'm going to give you an example, Wendy. When I was getting dressed today, I went into my closet and I came back from Europe in August. I was in Italy and I bought this beautiful red purse. Smells like this amazing Italian leather.
Oh, I love it.
And I see it hanging in my closet and I'm like, I see another pair of shoes that I just bought and I never wore. And I looked at all of this stuff like it wasn't even like it was my closet because it has not been my reality for almost 2 months now.
Yeah.
So I look at all this and I had to take a double take and go, oh, now that's a shame. I don't even know if I'll ever get to wear any of that. It was just this quick revelation. But never once do I say, I can't wait for it to go back to the way it was. Now, that's not saying everything was horrible because there was some really good parts of my life and your life and everybody's life. Yeah. And I believe we will have those times back. But I feel like the actual foundation or the reality that we think we miss was really just an illusion. And it was the illusion that we were programmed to believe. None of it was based on truth. You may not know what I'm talking about now, but you will. I'm saying this to the audience. If they are saying, what is Kim saying? What wasn't truthful? Trust me, when you become awake and you start living from your heart, the truth of your life and the life around you will be revealed. There's a lot that was only an illusion, right? So that old saying, you can't take it with you. Why were we so depressed as a species? Because we weren't living to our highest potential of why we even came here. So it's like we came here to do what we're actually going to be doing after this Wednesday, by the way. The light workers will have to lift up the ones that need the lift, even if it's just temporarily. And that's happening now, by the way. Yeah. That's one of the reasons we're doing this video.
Yeah, I agree.
People don't know what's about to happen. Now, I don't say that in a bad way. What I mean is we are in a complete shift. The earth itself is shifting. So that doesn't mean like the apocalypse either. People get like, wait, what do you mean? A meteor's coming? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, it's like that song that was released in, the days of Aquarius.
Yeah.
That song, the Aquarian Age. This is the time that song spoke of. So people didn't think we would see it in our lifetime, but it's here and we're in it. We're totally in that age where we're shifting. When we were in the age of Pisces, and this is all real if you want to study, again, I love science. The age of Pisces was, it's really about power. That's why the religious and the Catholic Church rose, and that lasted thousands of years. The age of Pisces was, each age lasts thousands of years. So The need for control is Pisces. Illusions, delusions is Pisces. The age of Aquarius is truth, love, unity, technology, which can actually unite us. What are we doing right now? We're
Yeah.
getting our message out to the world through technology. So that's why I'm called the happy medium. Find the balance in everything. Technology can be used for evil too.
Mm-hmm.
But if we use all these great things that God gave us for the good, that's what it was meant for. So the age of Aquarius is for technology, for airwaves, for new ideas, right? Where do the ideas come from? The airwaves. They infuse into us through the air.
Yeah,
The
creative.
age of, yeah, we're going to get a lot of downloads from the celestial realms. People are becoming psychic like crazy, and they're calling me and they say, Kim, I knew something would happen before it happened. What's happening to me? I'm seeing ghosts. I'm knowing what my partner's thinking. The veil between the worlds are they're almost non-existent. So we should be really excited about this. But people people fear change. That's why we're so unstable right now. We don't, because change represents the unknown, right?
Yeah.
And as humans, we like to know what's next. Like, I know my next paycheck's coming in next week. I know how much will be in that paycheck. I know, what to expect from my friends. I know what to expect from this, that, and the other thing. We set our lives up with such certainty so that we're comfortable. But certainty it's only an illusion. Because as we know, when things happen in our world that shock us, we realize we never really had control. Now, did we?
That's exactly what it is that it's the control. And I think that's what's scaring people the most. We have no control right now. And
But we never did.
I know, but we
We
thought we did. It's the illusion.
control ourselves.
Yeah.
That's it, ourselves. So that's my advice. Control each thought now. Be the guard dog of your own thoughts. If you believe that there's a higher power, which most of us believe, if you don't, you will, because you'll come from that power. So a water molecule that is separate from the ocean could never say it's not part of that ocean. It could lie about it. It can make itself believe it's not part of that ocean, but in the end it is. So it knows its true nature. Nature knows its true derivative, and that's us. We know where we come from. Inside we know.
Yeah.
And basically get to know yourself. Don't worry what others are saying, whatever others are doing, how they're making you feel. You only have control of you right now. So I'm even doing this. Every thought that comes in, because listen, once that news is on in the background, and my husband puts it on the television, all I hear is fear, 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 statistics, numbers. And I'm not burying my head in the sand because I'm a very much of a realist. But I say to myself, that doesn't matter. That's all just wah, 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 wah. That's just what's playing out on the earth stage right now. And who's going to play into the fear and who's not. So I'm here to tell everyone, be the guard dog of your thoughts and don't feed it with fear, because we can just as easily feed it with the positive side of this. Because I wrote about polarity in my book, and I thought that was the most unusual chapter. Now I understand it. Because you can't have darkness without light, and you can never get to the light without first going through the dark. So right now, a lot of us are going through a dark night of our soul. I did that already many years ago. Some of us, woke up years ago and we had to have that dark night of our soul then. Some of us are going through it now. And it's a natural process to get to the light. It truly is. And I always say we can only make a diamond from putting it under extreme pressure. And right now, the diamonds are under the pressure. Some of us are still in the coal phase where but we're being pressurized.
It's so
Look at
true.
it. Look at it that way. The alchemy is happening right now with every single one of us. We're being alchemized, but I think a lot has to do with how you choose to see it.
Well, exactly. And that's, you've given us like so much good wisdom and information. And it is all about our perspective. And you said, be the guard dog of your thoughts. Your thoughts create your reality. So, and like you said, you could just as easily put good in as you could put bad. That's the hard part. So when someone feels themselves like going down that rabbit hole or being pulled down that spiral, what do they do? How do they just shift that perspective?
Well, I'll give you an example for me. What is my fear as a mom? Because a lot of the times I find that when it comes to the rules of being a parent, all bets are off. I become very human. And my biggest fear is not me dying of this virus, because if it's my time, then I agreed to go.
Exactly.
But will my children, will somebody I love get it? And actually someone I love did get it, and excuse me, and did pass. I have to really believe that it was a soul agreement. If you do contract this virus, that you agreed to it on some level to exit, or maybe just to be the survivor and come through it on the other side and be the person who's going to help find a cure for another illness. By the way, in trying to find a cure for this illness, I believe we will find a cure for many illnesses, and we're putting a rush on it.
Yeah.
And nobody's worried about the funding. We're getting it done. And that's my take on that. But I do believe that the shift in your thoughts, and this is how it goes, very simple. What if I get the virus? Fear. What if I don't get the virus? Love, faith. Shift it. What if I get it? Yeah, but what if I don't? 50-50 chance, right?
Yeah.
But I think you have way more odds of not getting it when you raise your vibration and keep in the positive and keep on your soul journey to the higher vibration. Viruses really can't live in a high vibrating body. They really can't, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And that's the control that we do have. We don't have control of the outcome, but we have
Right.
control of our thoughts. And that's enough to like get me through to each minute, to the next minute. Like, okay,
That's all it is, minute to minute.
yeah,
All we have is this moment. What
exactly.
I what I say is no sense in going back to the past, because we do have our memories, but nobody's really focusing on the past right now. Think about that. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. What's really matters is what's happening right this minute.
Yeah.
The future road has not been paved yet. It has, because timelines are changing now. And I don't want to get too technical because I don't want to lose people, but the future has not been created. We were given the opportunity to create this new future. So being in the house right now, viruses, economy collapsing, world leaders are going to change. Let these egomaniacs play out their fears amongst themselves, even if it's being televised. They're playing out their fears and it's translating to us.
Yeah.
We can't allow their egos to translate to our lives. Because at the end of the day, when the people wake up and realize that the governments are only human, they all have egos, and maybe sometimes there's too much of a clash in opinions and that's not serving humanity, then people will realize we are going to become our own governments. And maybe we can start that within our own homes. So don't believe the narrative that people tell you. Make your own narrative and make that your reality. And I know that's hard because people are like, well, what if this and what if that, and what if they control our money, and what if I have no more money, and what if I don't get a job? All these what ifs, you're basing it on the old paradigm. We're done with that. We're never going back to that paradigm. It's over. We stepped into a new world and nobody knows the rules. We're making them up as we go. And we're either going to make a lot of the old or we're going to make a heck of a lot of new. And I am all for the new.
I'm with you, love. And it's like we get the opportunity to architect the new world, which is what a gift. You know, I would have chosen this and I did choose it. And
You
you
did.
chose it. Yeah. So as scary as they are, those moments, it is really exciting. So here's another question, Kim. And people, when I told people that I was going to be interviewing you, they said, ask her, when's it going to end? When's it going to end? So I'm
I
asking
said,
you.
yes, that's the question I'm getting. And so if anybody has actually heard a word I said, there is no ending. We're transitioning into a new reality. So when does it end is when you shift your beliefs and your perceptions. Be the observer of this virus. Don't be the participant of this virus. Because being the participant puts you in the fear of it all. It puts you watching the news. It puts you believing the narrative of the statistics. And it allows you to focus on the worst part of this. Why not focus on the thought that is, I didn't come here to perish in a virus. I came here to help raise humanity to the next level. But what if you did choose to perish in the virus? That to me is no different than choosing to perish in a car crash or cancer or however we exit this world. But there are mass exits like 9/11. That was a mass exit.
Yeah.
Not I hate people get upset with me when I say we pick our exit. They get upset with me because it doesn't seem very pleasant. Like I would never pick to die that way or this way or that way. Death is just as harsh as birth. Think about birth. That's not easy coming in through a little canal or through, just think about that. We suffer coming in, or it takes pain on the mother's part, the baby's part, and going out. That's a misconception. So many people, some people are suffering as they leave. I hate to say that, and that's what a lot of times the president gets on the TV and talks about is even one life is too many to lose from this. Okay, but where was their soul agreement? But if you think about, if you say, I really am not ready to go and I feel like I have too much left to do on this earth, my assumption is focus on what that is. Focus on where you want to put that energy and those thoughts. And don't sit in the house and be idle. Read everything you can. Research for yourself. Ask your higher self to bring you the wisdom through different outlets. Maybe people watching this right now, maybe this is one of their signs or a wake-up call for them. Just, this is what I do, and it works. It really works. I ask for the truth to be revealed to me, because there's many truths out there, right, Wendy?
Yeah.
But I need the truths that are going to catapult me and enhance my soul mission. So it's each one is individual. Your truth may be very different than my truth.
Yeah.
So whatever you stumble upon as your truth, and you allow, sometimes a friend will call me and say, hey, Kim, did you read this book? I'll check out the book. I'll look at the book and I'll say, that's not for me. That's her journey. Or sometimes I'll be like, this is exactly what I need. And I'll just look up and say, thank you. Because how are we going to evolve if it's not through other people? That's why there are so many people on the planet. We have to help each other. And so that's what this is. Pray for your journey and your path to open up, the new path, because we're all in a new path right now.
Yeah.
And try not to take the three-dimensional old timeline with you into the future. And what I mean by that is this, the things that weren't working back then are certainly not going to work now. Even more so, they won't work now.
Yeah, it's 100% true, Cammy. So what you're saying completely resonates with me. Like you said, is it your truth? And everybody has to ask themselves, is this your truth? Does this conversation make sense to you? Does this, wisdom and advice from Kim, does it make sense to you? Because it certainly makes sense to me. It-
Well, I believe that if it does not make sense to you, and maybe perhaps in 6 months from now, the same person will watch this and it will make perfect sense,
yeah,
because this is a tone, this is a vibration of truth that we're speaking right now that some people did not get to yet. No judgment, no judgment. If you picture the whole planet sleeping, and one by one, each one is getting tapped on the shoulder to wake up. That's what's happening right now. But it's not a crime if someone is tapped on the shoulder 10 years after me or you. It's just a matter of, how they got to each person.
exactly. It's
That's how
just,
I look at it.
yeah, I agree. And so I know we spoke the other day, and what you had said to me is it's also about faith and surrender.
There's that control again,
Yeah.
which is only an illusion. We never have control. We think we do, but we don't. But we like to think we do. And when we live in a routine pattern, um, a perpetual repetitious pattern, I wake up at 8, I have my coffee, like, it's comfortable for us to know what's coming next. That's how we stay and feel safe.
Yeah.
But when you really surrender and you realize you are safe, you are already that child of God because you're part of God. You're part of the higher beings, right? We're part. I always say this, and I try not to make it religious because I don't believe in man-made religion, but I definitely believe every time I look out my window and I see birds flying and I see trees growing and I see flowers blooming, there's an intelligence in this galaxy, this planet, this universe that is so far surpasses anything we could ever know on a human level. And if you can trust that these flowers know how to bloom every spring without fail, we need to trust that we are still going to bloom. When the sun rises every day, so shall we rise.
I love that. And it's like, sometimes something happens that I catch myself, I look up and I'm like, oh my God, thank you. Because so many miracles had to happen for that moment to happen that are really like almost impossible.
Mm.
That's why I have so much faith in the universe, because I'm like, okay, you tell me, how could that possibly happen? Do you know what I mean, Kim?
And again, I believe that you are awake to the things you ought to be grateful for. And for me, I only speak for me. I am so grateful every time my husband and I, because that's who I'm being quarantined with, every night, day, morning, noon, night, we sit down and have a meal together that either I cooked or he cooked, mostly he, because he's a better cook than I. I am so thankful, especially in this time, that I have a full refrigerator and I open it. And if you don't have a full refrigerator, I'm not saying this to like put this in anyone's faces. This is just my reality that I don't take for granted for 1 second.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, this is really brutal out there. People are dying. Yes, you know, we don't know what tomorrow holds. But for this moment, I am enjoying a meal that's nourishing my body and I'm already ahead of the curve right in that moment.
Yeah.
So just if you're breathing, you're ahead of the curve. I really urge people to look at it that way. And every moment that we're grateful will only lead to more things to be grateful for. I've lived it. I've seen it. And I don't take it for granted for 1 second, even the small things. And right now, Wendy, we're looking back at what we actually did take for granted, like maybe going out on a Friday night to a restaurant, that's a thing of the past. Who knows when we're getting back to that?
Yeah.
That's my point. We're all being shown what luxuries we had. And it's only because we don't have them anymore. So it puts things in perspective for me anyway.
No, totally. And you were saying about, looking in the closet and finding that beautiful red bag and the shoes. And I've been going through my closets and I have so much stuff. I'm like, I don't need so much of this. I'm trying every day to at least fill up one bag and get it out my house. Just one. That's my goal. And if I accomplish that, I'm good for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and how many of us have been in the same sweatpants and the same comfortable lounge clothing? So I hardly have any laundry except for towels from my showers. And I'm like, wow, I agree with you. I don't need all this stuff.
It's true.
After this, so much will change for people, hopefully, if they really understand, because this is helping put a lot of things in perspective of what was so out of balance.
No, totally, Kim. And I just want to really thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and, really putting this in perspective and also having a tool, which is your book, and everybody should get it. It's your soul purpose. Like, what better time now? And I know you also have these like soul kits at the end of each chapter. So you've got real tangible tools for people to use right now to be able to, this is it, like pretend you have a blank canvas. How would you create your life? And you giving them that tool. So,
Right.
use this time wisely. Even if the book resonates with you, pick it up and use it. And, just thank you. And even your shows, like it really it gives me comfort that we are being watched and taken care of. So, I really recommend everybody watches your shows on A&E, the Celebrity Ghost Stories, and get your book. And I thank you so much for your authenticity and just, for being such a light and really being a guide for us and showing us like how to make sense of this difficult time. So thank you.
Wendy, thank you. I'm sharing my tools and what works for me, and I really hope it works for everyone else. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Goodbye, honey.
Bye.